Hey, what's up, everybody? How are you? I'm glad to be here with each and every one of you. I'll be putting out a notification real quick as far as the just the live. I kind of catch you a little bit off guard. I know, and I do my best to try and keep you on task, or not on task. I try and do my best to be able to put out as much as I can. Again, I just do my best to be able to do it. Sometimes, as I put in one of the introductions, it's structure and spontaneity all wrapped up in one. Sometimes I just feel like talking. Sometimes it's just the moment, and I'll be able to set it up, edit it, shoot it, all that type of stuff. Um, I'll be able to do all those types of things with you and for you during the entire process of getting this channel going. Okay, so first and foremost, and see that somebody came in. I did not see who it was. And if you did, if you're here, say hi and just make sure that you introduce yourself. I'm sorry, I did not see who it was, but I'd definitely like to talk to you and see what's going on and enjoy my coffee. I know it's crazy. 9:30 at night, I'm drinking coffee. I know it's crazy. Thank you to the good people over at Chameleon Cold Brew over in Austin, Texas, for sending me their goodies, sending me their stuff. Hey man, you got to take advantage of it. It's a wonderful thing. Um, I had a lot of people ask me about certain things, and number one, great guy over in Australia, Adriano Del Monte. Known him from his work over at BN Sports in I think it was Doha, and then he went to Australia. I'm not exactly sure. Great guy, very talented presenter, and he's a radio host now. Look, man, let me tell you something. Um, Calm the f down. That's all I can say with everybody, and I don't mean it in a negative. I don't mean it despectively. I really don't. I don't mean it to be offensive or rude or anything like that. It's just that, and for some of you that need to understand a little bit of the context in which he is talking about. He talks about this whole entire. He talks about this in terms of the comments that were made by Alejandro Moreno and I think it was Craig Burley over at ESPN. I'm not. I don't watch ESPN FC that much, so I don't stay in tune to what's being said there. I had some people send me DMs saying, "Oh my God, look what they said! Oh my God, look what they said! Oh, how can they possibly say something like that?" The other day, I'm like, "Yeah," and that's what's going on. That's my daughter right there, and she's trying to come in. See, she's trying to do her thing as you see her coming into the office looking to get stuff and doing her thing, and she's really embarrassed, and rightfully so. As again, he talks about certain issues, and again, I had people DM me. I'm like, guys, calm down. There's really no need for people to get all up in arms about these types of things. As far as the game is concerned, that's their opinion. That's their opinion of what they want to see, of what they want to do. And as far as the team is concerned, Roma, they're a good team. I mean, whatever people want to do, they can believe whatever they want, And again, yeah, a lot of it has to do with the narratives that have been established for years about Serie A being a low-scoring, defensive, catenaccio type of league. But if you've been looking at what Serie A has become, it's quite the opposite. You see a lot of high scoring. You see a lot of defensive, for better, for worse, solidity, but also there is an issue that there are some mistakes, but then you do have more offensive-minded players in Serie A and teams that are looking to propose more of an offensive threat. If you look at Juventus, if you look at Roma, if you look at Napoli, if you look even Benevento at the very bottom of the table, who was relegated quite quickly in Serie A, their proposition, their disposition as far as attacking was always looking towards the opposing goal, and at times held very little regard for what was going on the opposite end. As far as that's concerned, that's something that people do forget. But again, those are narratives that get stuck. Oh, Roma's not that good. Well, you can depend a lot on results. You can depend a lot on what's being said. You can depend a lot on those types of things, but you also have to go and get your own impression of what's going on in terms of that. But then again, narratives are part of what's been going on throughout football history. And if you even want to go and talk about what narratives have been established going the other way around, as far as what the game here, is Major League Soccer as bad as people say? Is it as awesome as some others say? Is it as great that people say? Some say it's as good as the Premier League. Some say that it's utter garbage, and it's neither here nor there. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's not the best thing in the world. It is what it is. But then again, you also have to be able to give arguments, and sometimes that's where people get upset about those types of things. You have any questions, guys? You have any questions? Questions? Hold on a second. I have to do something because my daughter's embarrassed. She doesn't want you guys to see. So I'm going to just turn the computer, shift it ever so slightly this way. Did you see my chair? She's just embarrassed. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm going to switch it real quick so she could. She just needed a stapler as she's getting ready for school. And the stapler's right over here. But, then again, sometimes you see things happen. It's live television, people. It's coaching, it's naivety, yeah, a little bit, but then you also see that Napoli is also a team that has had this identity that has been really, I guess, misled, or really not too flexible when it comes to defending. I mean, and again, what I was referring to, I was on Sportsmax the other day, and we're talking about Napoli, and there's a lot of criticism towards Sarri, and Maurizio Sarri does have some dose of blame in that. But at the same time, if you look at it, the situation that Napoli were in, they knew that after Inter won, they had to win. They didn't want to lose any ground. They knew that if they won, and it was a winnable game. I mean, on paper, that Napoli has a chance to beat Fiorentina, and they were not able to. Obviously, they lost 3-0, and that's when pretty much everything slipped out of their control. And then obviously after that, the Torino draw 2-2, that pretty much sealed the deal for them. But if you look at the entire scope, if you look at the entire league and what they were able to do and how they became a protagonist and what they did to become that protagonist, that's really two completely different things. If you look solely at results, then yeah, you're going to be a bit disappointed, and they should be disappointed because of what's going on. And again, that's one of the major problems that's really being looked at when the Italian teams go in there. And let me flip it a little bit. If Italy were more successful outside of Juventus in Champions League, and I think Roma was the example for that, do you think that the narrative would change? Probably not. Because why? Because let's go back to 2007 when Milan won the Champions League against Liverpool. Did the narrative change there? Oh, ultra defensive. No, it didn't. Did it change with Inter? And obviously Inter a lot more defensive than that Milan side was. They gave a little bit more reinforcement to, they're ultra defensive team, Mourinho, this and the other, but still they were successful enough. And you add the results in Champions League, you add the reputation and the narratives and everything else, and yeah, you do start to see all of that occurring and developing in terms of why Serie A is seen that way. And it really has to do with a mentality of not understanding due to idiosyncrasy. It has a lot of lack of understanding because of not being able to read up on certain things, because of the language barrier that does exist within many fans that follow the Premier League, Major League Soccer, and all those. There is a language barrier. And many, speak English, and some only speak English, or some speak English and Spanish or something. But the Italian tends to be a little bit more of a barrier. And it's been, the narratives have been established because of how they see it from a distance. So I get what Adriano's saying. I get what a lot of people that cover Italian football are saying about what Alejandro Moreno and company have said. But here's my other point. And let me be very precise about this. Television has become a topic of takes. And my best comparison would be to compare it to professional wrestling back in the 80s and 90s. Why? The individual that puts out the most bombastic, the most spectacular, the most controversial take is the one that gets the most attention. And remember that at the end of the day, analysis has to have some type of spectacular, over-the-top nature. ESPN has lots of credit with Die Hard in many sports because of its analysis versus opinion. Yes, it does. But here's the thing. The more bombastic that you are, the more outrageous you are, the more controversial you are, you get more eyeballs. That's plain and simple. There's really nothing else that I could say that could really explain it to you. When you analyze things and you say things very bluntly, people don't really, okay, fine, oh, this guy's just, being an asshole. But when you say it and you start getting eyeballs around, that's what people want. That's what the ratings are for. That's what people are looking for. They're looking for the wrestler. Woo! They're looking for that. They're looking for the one that comes out with the promo and says the most spectacular things. Why? Because people want to see it. Because people don't want to see, a guy swerving around a car on the highway. They want to see the spectacular accident. That's what people see, car racing, Formula One and NASCAR. And all. They want to see the crashes. That's what makes it so spectacular. That's what makes, when you start looking at analysis and they start going and saying things, the United States is always a contender, those types of comments. That brings you in. That reels you in. Oh, what else is this fool going to say? That's why wrestling and the wrestlers that were able to hit their promos the best were the ones that got the most ratings. And since they got the most ratings, they got the most money. So understand with the spectacularity of it all, they're the ones that end up being talked about by many. And of course, I'm the one saying they shouldn't, but I came and said, hey, I'm talking about them myself. And I'm committing that sin as well. But also, where we as consumers have to look at is who's the one that's going to offer us the most honest opinion? Who's the one that's going to be offering you the most sincere opinion as far as coverage is concerned? Who's going to offer the analysis? Sometimes analysis is boring. Who wants to sit there and everybody say, yeah, you got a point. Yeah, you're right. Oh, yeah. There's no point in watching television if there is no conflict. And conflict is what drives us to go and see something, how things are going to play out, who's going to yell the loudest, who's going to make the crazy point, who's going to go to the point of even cursing on air if need be. Oh my God, these guys are about to go and start throwing it down. That's what we think about as human beings. And that's, again, what drives all this business. It's not how people sit there and say, yeah, I like your analytical point. We're not talking about, discussions on science and philosophy in some type of symposium. Let's not make it, what it isn't. We're talking about a sport that drives passions. And sometimes those passions drive us to look at the person that isn't looking at things from a very contrarian point of view. And therefore, you end up saying, hey, this guy's an idiot. This guy's a dumbass. This guy's this guy's that. But you're still watching. But you're still looking at what's going on. Again, that's where my big point is as far as how people view this. And again, I admire Adriano, but I admire a lot of the colleagues that have come out and said, oh, we need. But at the end of the day, they go and talk about them. That's the publicity they're looking for. And you know what? What I'm doing right now maybe is adding a little bit of a little grain of salt to that contribution as well. So where do we go from here? Well, I don't know, to be quite honest with you. That, again, is one of the big issues that we have to start looking at in terms of how we consume a sport or how we consume just pretty much our sports in general. So anyways, any questions that you have? I'm still waiting for a couple other people that said they were going to be coming on, but I know that I've been going on this diatribe for a long time. I know I'll have a few others that I'll be going on in a few minutes, or not in a few minutes, but in the future. But I really think that that's where things are heading, and things have been heading towards. No longer is it about analysis and giving concise information. It's about being as bombastic as you possibly can be in order to get ratings, because ratings are what keep networks afloat. So with that, I'm just gonna let you go. Shout out to my good friends over at the Guardian, as we had a really interesting shoot today, nice and quick. Also, make sure that you follow me on Twitter at Juan_Arango, over at Instagram Juan G Arango, and then of course everything else that's going on. I have a couple of announcements I'm making in a couple of days, and really looking forward to what's going to be. So he or she, or whoever it may be up to date with what's going on here on this YouTube channel. Talk to you later.